was first asked to host this event and given the opportunity to chat about something, my first thought was, well, it seems obvious that I would talk about my experiences as a step-parent. And then, and this was almost an afterthought, a throwaway, or maybe something about getting the things you want later in life. So when I pitched these two ideas to my friends, the latter one blew up immediately. Everyone was like, please do that one. Do an awesome upbeat TED talk about achieving later on in your life. That's what we want to see. Do that one. And because that response was so bold, I thought, well, this is something worth investigating, isn't it? You know, I'm a comedian. I should look into this. I'm going to do a talk about the best being yet to come. And then my second thought after that was, God, will this make me seem old? Because as a society, we are absolutely obsessed with youth, aren't we? But age, it's coming for us all if we're lucky. Ageism is one of society's last taboos, and for women, it can often come from other women. I remember going to the hairdressers in my 30s, and midway through the colour and styling, the hairdresser said to me, oh, do you want me to cut you a fringe? And I went, oh, I don't know. And then she went, everyone over 35 should have a fringe. You don't want people seeing your whole face. I mean, God forbid you should see my whole face. Pass Miss Havisham the veil. Then she very kindly pointed out my line here. She said, you've got quite a deep frown line. And I said, that's not a frown line, that is a philosophy crease. So I batted it back. But if I'm honest, that philosophy crease deepens every time the angel and the devil battle it out on my shoulders. The angel will pop up and say, Tiffany, you're talented, lines on your face are characterful, don't be shallow. And then the devil pops up and says, oh, honey, don't be so naive, you're in show business. You gotta stay looking young and vital, get some work to get some work. Of course, the devil has a southern drawl because it's very hot down there. And so I enter into my era where I fight with gravity like Sandra Bullock on a space station. You know, wishing every year when my birthday comes around that I could enter into celebrations with the same gusto I did at 10 years old. Going, oh, a birthday, it's a good thing, me time, balloons, party, friends, presents, yay! Instead, every year, I kind of wish someone would invent a time machine, you know? A time machine that would freeze my flat belly at 28 years old, but with the bank account of me at 38. The inquisitiveness of me at 10 years old with the absolute sass of me at 40. The anger of me at 36 with the confidence of me at 18. Maybe me now, but with the CV of me at 65. It's all relative, isn't it? The thing is, we fear aging so much, women especially, because to be young is to be relevant. Look, I always thought that I would own my first home by the time I was 30. I would be married in my 20s, and I'd have that novel out by 35 years old. I remember saying, when I left my full-time job at 19 years old, well, if I don't make it in acting by 21, I'll probably give up, because it's not going to happen. And when I say that now out loud, it sounds so completely unhinged. Most people don't even finish drama school till they're 22, but I'd written myself off at 21 years old. The messages tell us, you know, to be youthful is to be relevant. To be young is to be important. And that's the messages around us, you know. We stop even celebrating birthdays, don't we? Once we get past the young ones, it's all sweet 16 this, 18 that, 21 keys to the door, and then nothing, apart from one song by the Beatles about whether or not it's possible to be lovable at 64. But here's the thing. All of the best things that have happened in my life have happened in my 40s. I recently acted in, I say completed, that makes it sound like I made the film, acted in my first American feature film. It was in cinemas. Thank you, yes. It's about a killer sloth. It's very important work. It was in my 40s that I started writing on an HBO show. It was in my 40s that I got married, not necessarily in that order, and in my 40s that I've done my first TED Talk. Yeah, thank you. I say my first because I presume there will be many more. It's often called being a late bloomer. I'm not really a fan of that phrase particularly. I'm not a fan of the flower metaphors and similes that seem to follow women around for all of our lives. I remember being a teenager and cringing when someone said, "Isn't she budding? Isn't she blossoming?" Also, late bloom suggests you should have flowered earlier, but who is it that's writing the timeline of your life? This fear that women have, we have, and men, I'll include you, but it's more for us. We fear, it's worse, let's be honest. We fear aging because we're often treated like we have an expiry date, like fruit that's about to go off. You know, leave them in the kitchen too long, they'll end up covered in flies. And we often, in turn, internalize that and put our judgment out onto other women when people behave outside of what the age norms would be. But why is someone bungee jumping in their 60s triggering to you? Why are you on the internet telling a woman in her 40s or 50s to dress age appropriately? What does that even mean? It makes me think of my beautiful, dearly departed, and I regret to say that bit, friend Lynn Ruth Miller. Now, if you don't know about Lynn, she started stand-up comedy in her 70s. Yeah, and she was a firework. I would put her on at my shows as often as I could have her because there was no one else out there like that, with that verve, with that sass. I was with her in Hollywood when she was 86 years old, attempting to crack America. Yes to that. Yes. The ambition for her never waned, not for a second, and it shouldn't. Because comedians, I think we age like fine wine. Not in that you'll find us smashed on the kitchen floor, although occasionally that is the case, or that we're difficult to get off people's carpets. When we're on the road, we need to crash sometimes. More that just, we get more mature, the richer the comedic vein is to tap, if that makes sense, you know? The older you get, the less you care about what other people think, the more you care about what you think. Hey, look, I've been around a while. Guess what? I have some unique observations about life. But I really think we're due a societal shift because we have this aging population. By 2050, the over 60s will overtake the under 16s by 1.5%. Not in a race, obviously. We're going to be slower. We won't be able to do that. By 2100, by which point I will have transitioned into a talking hologram with legs for days. By 2100, it's predicted that the over 60s will double. Like, they'll be 30%, the under 15s will be at 16%. And I think the maths on that is correct. I get my facts right 70% of the time, all the time. I think I owe Anchorman a credit for that one. So let's talk about the positives of getting older. Look, if you're older, 50s, upward, less likely to get drafted in a war. Win. I feel like this is a very sexy age for me. I'm at the age where if I turn down an alcoholic drink at the bar, people are like, "Oh, is she? Are you on antibiotics?" Used to be that people would assume that I was pregnant. So that awkward conversation disappears, so that's a win for being older. And speaking of pregnancy, if you're a career woman in your 20s and 30s, you are more likely to be passed over for promotion due to discriminatory, maternity laws. It's technically illegal, but still worryingly prevalent. Jokes aside, though, we need to take the pressure off the younger generation. I'm sure there's some of you in here tonight, you're the ones that are still awake for the second half of the show. But why should you have to achieve it all before 30 while you're still paying off your student loan and your avocado toast bills? To which end, I am so tired of 30 under 30. Yeah, yes, thank you. That sounds like the energy of the over 30s really coming through. I am tired of it because that's what older people get, tired. Okay, so what about 50 over 50? Yes! What about the chartered accountant who's written their first novel at 65? Yeah. Yeah, the fart walk lady who's gone viral in her 60s. Captain Tom raising millions for the NHS at 100 years old. Trini building a business empire at 62, a global business empire. Diane von Furstenberg, the designer, said recently, "Stop asking me how old I am and start asking me how many years I've lived." Isn't that a lovely way to look at it? And one of my favorite examples of late greatness, that's what I'm calling it, is Frank Lloyd Wright, the genius architect. He was written off as a silly old man, wait for it, in his late 40s. Was written off as a silly old man. Now, if he'd have listened to the naysayers then, he never would have created his great legacy works like Falling Water. I almost said Falling Over, that's my internal ageism there. But Falling Water, he designed at 86 years old and completed the Guggenheim in his 90s. How amazing is that? What about if we thought about it this way? What if, just what if, your best work is yet to come? Yeah, right? Your greatest source of pride, your biggest achievements, they're in the future. What a paradigm shift that would be. Is it too late? No, it's never too late. Look at Lynn Ruth. She was doing it in her 70s and her 80s, right till the very end. And the ambition, like I said, was still there. That's what we need to do. We need to look forward. It's not too late. Quit your job. Go write that country album you want to write. Go run poetry retreats in another country. You can do it. And the young people, listen, you're important too. We need your energy. We need your perseverance. We need your strength, for revolutions. But the middle age and old age, well, we provide the experience and all the medicine you'll ever need. I'm carrying it with me constantly at all times. So I guess if I want to leave any message from my talk tonight, it's probably to quote the great Frank Sinatra and say, what if the best is yet to come? Thank you.